My in-laws are estranged. I cannot stand them. They're very evil and toxic towards me, where they decide to show up at my father's funeral and let me know how much of a joke he was because he left me nothing. Well guys, to be honest, the joke's on them because he left me something massive, and I'm going to, well, tell them all about it. I just lost my father to Alzheimer's, and I hate coming to the funeral. The people in question are my estranged in-laws, who I have not seen or talked to in about 10 years. I just found out moments ago I don't know what to do. The backstory here is super important, just to let you guys know how much these people hate my guts. I met my husband at a bar I was working at when I was in college. He would come there all the time because it was the only place his parents did not have eyes. Apparently, his parents were very wealthy and affluent, also very, very religious. And I worked at a gay bar. He had not come out to his parents yet, and he was sure if he would ever do it. But the problem with that was that his parents kept throwing girls at him, telling him he should finally settle down with somebody who could help him grow his business, but obviously, somebody whose family also has wealth and influence. He was growing a line of stationery, so journals, stickers, etc. I felt really bad for him. I looked up his stuff so we could have something lighter to talk about the next time he came in. We ended up talking until it was time for us to close. He asked me if I'd like to go for lunch sometime, and that's how our romance started. We had to date in secrecy because he did not want his parents to find out. He was always very honest with me about where we could and could not be seen, which was fine. I understood not everybody could be their free and authentic self. I was lucky to have parents who supported me no matter what, and my mom passed when I was in high school, so it had just been me and my dad for a while. We did not have much, but we always got by. If ever needed anything for school, he would always find a way to get it. When I introduced Ben to Dad, they hit it off right away. My dad was an avid woodworker before he hurt his back, so he had an appreciation for creative people. He welcomed Ben like it was his own son, and I could tell Ben felt bad because I could never and would never get that kind of reception from his family. We dated in secrecy for 2 years, until I graduated college with my degree in nursing. Then we started having serious talks about stuff like marriage and living together and him finally coming out to his parents. So, I asked him if he was sure about all this stuff because the stories he told me about his parents and their thoughts on gay people were mortifying. It would also be damaging to his business since his father was an investor. But Ben believed that he'd gain a large enough base of loyal customers that he'd be okay once his father pulled out. He also had a contingency plan. Ben decided to invite me over to his family's place for dinner. He told his family he was bringing a guest, and they were expecting a woman, obviously, just to illustrate how rich they are. They don't have a house, they have an estate, the kind of thing regular people see in movies. They have a butler, a private chef, expensive cars in the driveway. I'm talking filthy rich. Before I continue, let me say I was in no way forced to do this. Ben asked if I was okay with coming, and I said yes, because I want to support him. I got bullied all through high school for being gay, so there was nothing that they could say to me that I have not heard a million times over. Furthermore, this was Ben's family, so it was going to sting a lot more for him, you know? Especially after seeing how supportive my dad was. When we got there, I could tell things were going to go sour fast. Simply by the way the butler guys looked at us. He took us in the gallery for refreshments, yeah, rich people stuff. I wish I could describe the looks once we got there and walked into the room. Only Ben's parents and his brother Andy were there. When Ben introduced me as his boyfriend, his parents just kind of stared at us blankly. Only his brother actually got up and shook my hand. After a moment, his dad got up and stormed off outside, and his mom went out after him. Well, I got my fill of expensive champagne because I knew it was about to go down. We started having dinner, and it was so awkward at first and quiet. Andy was the one trying to make conversation. He asked Ben how things were going with the business and asked me what I do for a living. Ben's dad did not seem too happy that I was a nurse. He seemed even less happy that we've been dating for over 2 years in secret. He got up from his seat and went on a whole rant. He called me all kinds of slurs and accused me of turning his son gay. I just sat there and ate my stroganoff. Let him have his little moment, and Ben tried to defend me, saying he was gay before he met me and never liked any of the girls his parents brought around. Then Ben's dad started slurring him. Andrew jumped in and tried to calm the situation, and I said I wished that he had waited until dessert to start this nonsense. It was red velvet cake and it looked lovely. If it sounds like I wasn't taking things seriously, that's because it's the way I've learned to deal with people like him. You can't let them get under your skin. I asked Ben if he wanted to go, and he said yes, but he had a few choice words for his father first. He called his father a backwards hillbilly, who'd be forgotten by history, and said this would be the last time he'd see him. And he stayed true to that promise. He kept low contact with his brother, but no contact with his parents. Remember when I said Ben's dad was a major investor in his business? Yeah, well, he pulled out the next day, and I finally got to learn what the contingency plan was. He was going to go to social media, mostly Twitter, because Facebook is brimming over with people just like his dad, and he told our story. The post went viral and his sales exploded so much that they had to triple the next inventory order. It did not stay at the level for long, though, but his base of loyal customers increased by a significant amount. Enough for him to sustain the business expenses without his father's money. A year later, we moved into an apartment together. Nothing fancy, but it was close to my dad and my job. And a year after that, he proposed, and we thought that we'd left his dad's, thoughts behind. But over the course of the planning of our wedding, we learned just how much power and influence Ben's dad had in this city. We tried to get a cake. Every place is suddenly booked out, and we're looking for a church because Ben wanted to get married in a church. No pastor would even speak to us. We tried other popular venues and nothing. Well, we later found out from Andy that Ben's dad was shutting us out because he did not want us to get married. In the end, I asked one of the doctors at the hospital if we could rent out his backyard for the wedding reception. And one of the nurses, who's an amateur baker, baked us a lovely cake. My dad knew someone from out of town who was an officiant. This guy had done my parents' wedding, and he offered to drive in to do mine. Ben felt bad that I was doing all the heavy lifting because his father was a jerk, but I didn't mind it. We ended up having a small but beautiful wedding, went on a cruise for our honeymoon. Since then, we've been saving up to buy a house. Things got a little rough when the pandemic hit because, I was working so much. But a lot of people got into journaling and scrapbooking during the pandemic, so business was booming for Ben. About 1.5 years ago, my dad was diagnosed with rapid onset dementia. We had to put him into a 24-hour care facility, which cut a lot of the money that we were saving for the house. After about 6 months, my father was starting to get a lot worse. He did not remember who we were or where he was. It was very heartbreaking. He sadly passed away last week peacefully in his sleep, according to the staff at his care facility. All of that brings me to today. The funeral's tomorrow and Ben's family's coming, and we found out about half an hour ago from Andy. He said he just found out too. Why they're coming? I have no idea. I don't know if there's even anything we can do at this point. Andy said he tried to talk them out of it, but he could not make any promises. I'm just having massive anxiety about them making a scene and it turning into a fight because some of my friends have absolutely no chill. We're having a graveside service at a public cemetery, so it's not like we could just lock them out. I figured if they're just there and don't say or do anything stupid, it should be fine. I really don't want to think about or deal with this right now. Anyways, I'll update you guys soon. Top comments from the original post. comment number 1. Your in-laws sound absolutely deranged. Oh my goodness, I don't understand how people could treat their own family that way. Gay or not, that's their son. Whether they agree with it or not, that's still their son. Imagine being so far up your own butt that you think somebody being their authentic self is somehow a threat to you or even your business. Ugh. Also, I'm sorry about your dad, OP. He sounds like a real stand-up guy. And to be honest, I'm sorry these crazy people are harassing you in your time of bereavement. I don't even know what I'd do in a situation like that. If it was a few days prior, you could have probably hired security or something. You could try asking some of your friends to ruin interference for you. You may not want to be able to keep them out of the cemetery, but you can make them feel so unwelcome that they leave on their own. Good luck. Update number 1. So, the funeral was 2 weeks ago, and I have so much to talk about. This is the first free moments I've had to sit down and write an update because things have been extremely busy since then. Ben's parents did show up to the funeral, but they stood in the back. Mostly because our friends helped us out and told them only the immediate family was allowed up front. After the service was finished, Ben and I left immediately, so they did not have a chance to talk to us. But someone told them that we were having a repast at my dad's house, and they followed the guests there. Mind you, there were other people there I did not know. Some said that they went to high school or college with him, and it was nice hearing all the good things that they had to say about him. When there was a lull in the activity, Ben's parents approached us. They looked out of place amongst all the normal working-class people. Ben jumped up as soon as he saw them approaching and told them to leave. Nobody invited them and nobody wanted them there. He did not cause a scene or anything, but we were grieving and did not have the bandwidth for their bigotry. They said that they just came to see him because they were worried about him and weren't able to find or contact him for years, and he said he did not want to see or hear from them. That was the point. They asked him to at least let them give me condolences, and I told him it's fine, so long as they left right after. They came up and said that they were sorry for my loss, and it seemed like me and my father were close, so they knew it was pretty hard for me. Then his dad said something like, "Oh, your old man really didn't leave you anything, did he, huh?" I was about to lose it, but another guy came up to us, one who I did not recognize. He said that he worked for some accounting firm that managed my dad's investment portfolio. He handed me an envelope and told me to look through it when I get a chance. He left his card and the envelope as well. Well, I knew nothing about an investment portfolio. My father never really talked about money. He would just take care of whatever we needed. When I offered to get a job to help out with bills, he did not stop me. Apparently, my dad left $25 million worth of investments, along with an account where he collected his yearly dividends. I don't even know what's in that yet because I haven't even been to the bank. Needless to say, the in-laws were gagged. There's a lot of stuff that we still need to figure out, like if we want to sell my dad's house or keep it. But this is a massive injection into our personal finances. We could get our dream house and invest so much into Ben's business. Hell, I may even be able to quit my job. I'm so happy something good has came out of this nightmare. Update number 2. I thought the previous update was going to be my last, but my craziness has happened since then. It has nothing to do with my newfound wealth. All that's been sort of. This is about Ben and his parents. I thought the funeral was going to be the last time we saw them, but nope. They're like cockroaches. Just when you think you've gotten rid of them, they show up again out of the blue. Anyways, it started with a message somebody sent Ben on his company Instagram. Apparently, his dad did an interview with some local news station to talk about some controversy surrounding his business. A voice recording surfaced of him using some spicy slurs, and his bottom line took a hit. His investors are scared. In the interview, he said he cannot be homophobic because his youngest son is gay, and he's going to visit him and his husband on the weekend to give his condolences on the passing of my father. Ben was livid, I was livid, and he'd called us all kinds of slurs, and now's trying to use us as a shield from his backlash. Ben immediately gets on the phone with Andy to ask him what the hell was going on. Andy said he did not know anything up until the day before when he confronted his mom about it. They did not tell him about their plans because they did not want him to run to Ben and sound the alarm. So after a recording was released of Ben's father using some slurs, the company got a ton of bad press, took a blow to its reputation, lost sales, and now the board and the investors are on edge. They want Ben's dad removed as the CEO unless he can clean up his image. The plan was that he'd talk about his gay son in an interview, and at the funeral he was going to ask Ben to come work at the company on the social media team. In exchange, he would reinvest in Ben's business, and while Ben's business has been doing great, we have not generated enough capital to expand, hire staff, etc. It's just me and him managing inventory, marketing, shipping, all the stuff. However, with my dad's investment portfolio and secret connections, we don't need money from Ben's dad. And after this stunt, we don't feel very inclined to help him salvage his reputation, but we don't know exactly what we're going to do yet. Ben said that he's going to take some time to think it over because while his father deserves nothing but worms, his brother also uses the money from the business to support his family. His brother has been accepting of us the whole time, but at the same time, it's somewhat dependent on their dad for his income. There's no way of knowing if Ben's actions could hurt Andy or free him. He's going to call Andy later and have a proper talk about it. I'll go along with whatever he plans, even if he spares his father because we would not have to deal with his dad anymore anyways. Update number 3. Hey guys, so I'm sorry it took so long for this update. I've been super busy getting my dad's affairs in order. This legal stuff with wills and estates can get so tedious. Plus, I've been working long hours at the hospital on top of helping Ben with his business, so it's been super busy. So here's what happened. Ben reached out to the same person who interviewed his dad to give a statement. He told them everything. He had to keep his relationship a secret because of what his dad thought of gay people, especially gay men. He told them about the debacle that happened when he introduced me to his family. He told them how his dad did everything in his power to make sure that we would not get married, and that if it wasn't for my family, we probably would not be able to. He shared the video he made pleading with people to support his business after his dad pulled his investment and showed them the letter that he got from his dad's company when he did just that. But he didn't stop there. He also told them how his dad showed up to my dad's funeral, unannounced, after years of them not being in contact and refused to leave when asked. On top of sneaking in a photographer to take pictures of him and his wife there, all of this so he could cling to power and influence he did not deserve. He also asked them to give Andy grace because he was the only one who supported Ben through everything. He and his family should not suffer because of my dad's arrogance. After talking to Andy, and this was the contingency plan he and Ben came up with, hopefully the public will have mercy on him moving forward. To say this caused a crap storm would be putting it lightly. It was all over the local blogs, local news sites. Ben's dad stepped down as the CEO, and is no longer on the board of directors. He put out a statement refuting the claims Ben made, calling them baseless lies. He said that he and Ben had a falling out over the direction of Ben's business, and they decided to cut ties amicably, but Ben was bitter and cut contact with him. He maintained that he's not now, nor has he ever been, against gay people. What an absolute shameless liar! Anyways, the board has now appointed a new CEO, and Andy's now sitting on the board since he's better for the image. They also hired a diversity, equality, and inclusion specialist to weed out any more prejudice in the company. Are just for optics, what can say for sure? And the company made a donation to some charities that help out LGBTQ youth. That's where we are now. The last time we talked to Andy, he said that, well, the board was waiting for the controversy to blow over before they made any major moves. These kind of things tend to cause a huge uproar, but they fizzle out quickly. Hopefully, that's where all this drama ends. If anything else happens, I'll be sure to post another update. Update number 4. Hey, it's me again with another update. I thought we were done with Ben's father, but it seems the man has a humiliation fetish. He tried to get me fired from my nursing job right there at the hospital. Apparently, Ben's father knows some people at the state's medical board, and somebody who sits on the board at the hospital tried to use them to get me removed and have my license revoked. Mind you, I already put in my notice saying I'd only be working for 6 more months at max. Ben and I are house hunting and have also decided that we're going to rent out my dad's place for some extra income, but it needs a few renovations, right? We also have to clear out all of his stuff, and some people at the funeral expressed interest in a few things. Everything else will be sold at the marketplace. Anyways, I digress. If this was a few years ago, I probably would have been fired on the spot, but since we lost a lot of nurses during the height of the pandemic and are still losing more to this day, the hospital is more careful about their hiring and firing. So, my boss sat me down and asked what the heck's going on, and I told her everything. She was at the funeral, so she was able to corroborate all of it. She said that she'd pass on my side of the story to the board, and in the end they decided not to fire me because they've been dragged into the crap storm Ben's dad created. And the last thing the hospital needed was a PR nightmare. They even apologized to me for the inconvenience to smooth things over. As for Ben's father, last we heard he and his wife were selling the estate and moving to Texas. I guess he'll be able to say all his slurs in peace. I'm hoping this little fiasco with the board and the hospital will be the last I hear about him. Top comments from the update. Comment number 1. Holy crap, OP, your father-in-law is on a trip. The fact that he jumped up to proudly proclaim he had a gay son when his horrible deeds caught up with him is both hilarious and pathetic. I'm glad you guys did not let him get away with it either. I'm sure karma would have chased him down eventually, but sometimes you have to be the karma. The audacity of him to show up at your father's funeral after all the nasty things he said to you and about you is shocking. You're a better person than me because I would have punched him in the face. Also, it was so awesome of your dad to leave you all that money. It sounds like he wanted you to be set for life if something ever happened to him. He's a cool guy. Comment number 2. Why are you guys so proud of ruining people's lives? I mean, OP, I don't understand why your husband felt the need to drag his dad's name through the mud. By that point, you guys have secured everything you needed to live the rest of your life in peace. Why not just leave it alone and move on? Also, maybe his dad did turn over a new leaf and saw that, well, him being the way he wasn't helpful to him or anyone else. He could have genuinely been trying to mend his relationship with Ben after years of being estranged, and you guys would not even hear him out. I hate this mentality everyone's developed of just shutting out everyone who doesn't agree with them or doesn't share their beliefs. We don't need to be living in echo chambers where we're always coddled and never challenged. It's not healthy. I'm just glad at the end of the story, Ben and OP go to expose Ben's father, showing them his true colors and what that was really hiding behind this entire time. Guys, I do want to hear from you though. If you were in OP's position, or maybe even Ben's position, what would you have done about handling your father and letting him know, well, you're in love with somebody? Let me know your thoughts. Maybe one of you out there have been through something similar, like in today's video, so go ahead and drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate stories like this every single day with lots of drama, including inheritances, cheating stories, family in-law disputes, mother-in-law dramas, Karen dramas. We cover it all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button to help support the channel. My name's Mr. Reddito once again, and I'll catch you later. But do remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.